Why we're here today is because no one or no organization is above the law. And we are filing suit today against the Department of Education because last year we worked in Albany with the mayor, with the Department of Ed, because we felt that mayoral control or the governance law of New York City should have been renewed. There were changes to that law, specifically changes that dealt with closing schools and public input. And now, as both the mayor and the chancellor stood up and embraced that law when it was passed, it has become clear to us that they have not followed the law. And that is why we are filing suit today. If there is a law passed that says we all need to do certain things, then we all need to do certain things. And that is not what happened this year during this closing school process. And that is why we have all of these people here today in support of this lawsuit. Many of them have already officially signed on. So, what we're asking here is for this process to be redone because it was not followed correctly. We cannot ignore the public comment, which it was clear to us in the section of the papers that were filed by the city on the public comment portion. Their response to the public comment cannot be boilerplate from 19 different communities. We cannot have the impact statements for each school being boilerplate. These are different communities, different schools, and the effect of a closing school is not just upon the students who are in the closing school, but it is also upon the community that surrounds the school that now needs to be assured that there will be places for those children to go. And more importantly, what we recognize this year, there were many children, high need issues were not being addressed. And if you're going to close a school, first and foremost, you should make sure that you were doing right by that school, that you had the services for those who had difficult issues, that if you have a spike in a school of a large percentage of English language learners, that you make sure you bring in programs to help that school, and that if you have a high percentage spike of special needs children inside of a school, that you make sure the experts are there. But more importantly, as we move forward, we saw nothing in those impact statements that will help those schools as they slowly phase out. But the new schools, if the same children are there, all we're doing is closing one and opening another. We must put the services and the proper supports where the children are. And that's why we are here today, and that's what we are filing suit about.
I want to start out by saying to everybody that I don't join lawsuits lightly. And I spent a couple of days trying to figure out what was the best remedy to what occurred last week. And I concluded, as have many of the plaintiffs today, that this race to the top is quickly turning into a race to the bottom. We're pitting communities against communities. We're pitting the DOE against everybody. And what's getting lost in this whole shuffle is the children of our city. So I'm proud to be on this lawsuit because I don't know any other way to get the attention of the Department of Education, to say to them that we recognize there are problems in many of our schools, and some schools are not quite making it. And we always thought that, like good managers in private industry, when you identify a school that may have some struggles, you bring in the A team, you bring in your best people, you create an opportunity to save the school, which means you save the neighborhood. And I think that that's gotten lost here.
Tell me what the action plan was for these 19 schools before you decided to take the ultimate, which is shut it down. You know one thing? We, the people of New York City, expect to see that. And finally, when you're playing a game and you know the rules of the game, you expect everybody to abide by the rules. And when you change it at the last minute, you're cheating. You're cheating everyone in the game, and also you're cheating yourself. But finally, when you have a $22 billion budget and you can hire all of the media that you want, you can spin it any way you want. But you know one thing? The truth will set us free with this lawsuit.
I'll tell you why we stand here today. We stand here today, as we have through 100 years, for quality education for all children. We do not deny parents the right to send their children wherever they so choose. But for public education, we will stand till hell freezes over. Till every child, regardless of where they come from, what language they speak, that when they reach the shores of the United States of America, they will receive quality education. That's why we're here today. And we stand with Borough President Scott. We don't sign our name on to any and everything. We read it. We read it. We're intelligent. We're not puppets for the UFT. We're not puppets for elected officials. We are for the children. So let's get that straight today as we make reports. We are here because parents have made complaints. We have the complaints filed about their children not receiving their rights in the school system here. We have sat with the DOE. We've had meetings under Regional Director Kenneth Cohen. We've been to DOE. We've pleaded. We've begged. And now for my senior member of the National Board of Directors to be disrespected at a hearing, was not allowed to finish her speech, who have paid her dues, who speak for the children, where we have more charter schools in Harlem, Central Harlem, than any other place. Why? We want answers to the questions today. So we proudly join with the UFT, with the Alliance, and with all of you to make sure that justice is done. The struggle continues.
We have to stop punishing our children for a system that's failing them for far too long, and work together to ensure that they all have an opportunity to learn. With a well-rounded college preparatory curriculum, the best teachers and principals, strong social and emotional supports, and providing parents an opportunity to be actively involved in their students' learning. And I must say to parents, as parents, we must mobilize the most powerful force on earth, and that's the love we have for our children. And we must become change agents and active participants in our children's education, because I believe that change can come, but we have to make it happen. As parents, teachers, that's administrators, as students, that's the elected officials, and everyone in this room, we care about our children, and we have to do something to make change. Thank you.
A few moments ago, my colleague and my chairman, Robert Jackson, said he wants to know what the Department of Education action plan was for these schools before they close them. I know the answer to that question. I'm sure we won't hear it at the hearing, but the answer to that question was they wanted to drive the final nail into the coffin that they had decided to construct for each and every one of these schools. They have an agenda. They send high-needs kids into the school the year before they want to close it and don't send the services with it. That's right. And the truth of the matter is, I don't understand why when they think a school is broken, they don't invest the resources to fix it. That's common sense. I was the councilman who represented the communities attending Tilden, South Shore, and Canarsie high schools before they closed them. And I can tell you, they didn't care what my community said. We were unanimous in asking that those schools not be closed. But you know what? Something's changed. We have a law now. We have a law that they have to follow. And this is Super Bowl week, so we're throwing the flag for a legal procedure on the Department of Education. And let me tell you something, it's going to cost them more than 5 yards. And I will say this to you, I only once, in my 8 years as a council member, put my name on a lawsuit, and it was when the mayor thought he was above the law on the property tax rebates. And you know what happened there. He's not above the law, the Department of Education is not above the law, and above all, they should never be above the will of the people.